Hey eSports fans, Jesse Love here. I'm the two-time champion at Madera Speedway in the Junior Late Model Series. It's super cool to see how far eSports has come over the last few years, and it's also super cool to see the Junior Late Model drivers showcase their talent on the iRacing platform. So best of luck to all the drivers competing in the series, and most importantly, have fun.
Never before has a field of drivers this young and this large ever assembled to compete in an event like this. Over 30 of the best and brightest young race car drivers in America converging online in this virtual competition to prove who is the king or queen among the future stars of our sport. It's the Mobile One Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by Madera Speedway, and round number one is live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Good evening, I'm Jason Galvin, joined in the booth by eNASCAR star Christian Challoner, Sean Ambrose turning the knobs, cameras provided as always by our good friend Dougie Beer. This 6-race series is the brainchild of Raceface brand development founder Rod Wortham, and it pits young drivers from across the country against each other on some of the very tracks that they compete on in real life. Tracks like Southern California's Irwindale Speedway, Florida's Five Flags Speedway, and the home of tonight's series opener, the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. You'll recognize some of these drivers from the Madera Speedway Racing Series broadcast nationally on MAV TV. Drivers like 2019 Late Model Championship runner-up and race winner Seth Wise, a Challenge Camp winner and a former winner at Five Flags Speedway, and Grant Thompson, as well as Austin Edwards, who was a winner in Season 1, the inaugural year of the Junior Late Model Series. Also on the entry list tonight, drivers from around the country that compete in various other series in late models and limited late models, like North Carolina's Gage Painter, Washington's Haley Constance, Colorado's Cassidy Hines, and New Mexico's Elvis Rankin. As we welcome in back to the broadcast booth here, Christian Challoner. And Christian, Junior Late Models are so unique. Limited late models for drivers ranging from ages 10 to 16. It started in California with Madera Speedway and Kenny Shepard. Really took off like wildfire. How impressive is it to see this field with all these young kids getting ready to race here tonight?
Yeah, this is definitely an exciting race and an exciting series tonight. We're going to have 6 rounds of this and pretty high intensity track to start it off with at Las Vegas Bullring. We're going to be doing 100 laps here tonight. We do have the Lucky Dog rule enabled, and we will have 2 green-white checkers if it comes down to that. And tonight we are going to be running on custom fixed setups provided by Racecraft One. There is a 17 incident disqualification limit. Hope we don't see anybody reach that, but it's possible that we will. And keeping in tradition with normal short track racing, we will not have any live pit stops for tires or fuel. We will have damage repair only.
Of course, this series put together by Raceface with Mobile One and Madera Speedway pays $1,000 to the series champion. The top 3 in points will also receive payouts at the end of the year. Same with the top 3 at the finish of each race. And the race winner takes home a cool $250. I don't know about you, but when I was 11 or 12 years old, you told me I could win $250 driving a race car on my computer for an hour, I would have been all over that. As Christian mentioned, we're at the Bullring here for the season opener. This is a super technical, challenging short track. Makes for a lot of fun for our series opener. And let's take a look at our GSRC lap guide.
Welcome to the Bullring at Las Vegas. The Bullring at Las Vegas is a jewel of short track racing out in the middle of the desert. This little circuit is located a stone's throw away from the mile-and-a-half tri-oval that is the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The Bullring is the asphalt oval that's short on distance but long on action with that short track competition. Very little banking is there to help the drivers get around. 9 degrees of banking in the corner with 4 to 7 degrees awaiting on the straights. The apron can be very inviting as a spot to run to, but there are some rumble strips down there that are designed to prevent drivers from getting that low. The Bullring's fast pace really makes you focus as a driver. The straights are just long enough to give you time to take a breath and get yourself set up for corner entry. Best way to get around here is just kind of fall into a rhythm, like a good old-fashioned rocking chair. Steady hands connected with steady feet operating the gas and the brake pedal is the way to find victory lane out here in the Bullring. This has been our guide to the Bullring at Las Vegas. Enjoy the short track show.
And that's a look around the Bullring at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. If you've never been to LVMS, Bullring's a really cool facility located just at the southwest portion of the big oval track everybody's used to. You can see it there in the background. That got a great shot from Dougie Beard. Love that camera shot there. This facility is really something else. You've got the 1.5-mile oval, you have the Bullring, you have the world-class dirt track that runs World of Outlaws as well, and you have a 4-lane drag strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway that NHRA runs at twice a year. Tonight we are at the Bullring, as you see here, banked 10 degrees in the corners, just under 4/10 of a mile here around this track. What makes this track unique, it's a D-shaped oval, but the D is on the back stretch. The front straight is not really much of a front straight. I mean, by the time you come up out of the corner, you get the start-finish line, you're already setting up for the next corner. You do have really unique, and you'll see them on our onboards, will be phenomenal. You'll love the shots. Rumble strips in the corners. Now, sometimes those help. Sometimes you end up like these cars on the screen right here when you catch just a little bit too much of it here, as we have about 5 minutes left here in our practice session before we roll into qualifying here at the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And these late models, now this is not the super late model, this is the Monte Carlo late model. It was the first iteration of a real short track car that we got here on the iRacing service. It's a perimeter chassis race car, runs a crate motor, 8-inch tires on these cars versus the 10-inch on the super late models. And Christian, I know that you now running in the Cup Series have had to get kind of used to this style of racing as well. Momentum racing versus having a lot of horsepower. You can just slam the throttle down, drive it up out of the corner. What are the different challenges that are presented to drivers with the race car that you have to keep wound up around a track like this?
Well, the biggest thing really with a car like this is that you can't really afford to be sliding it at all. If you have any kind of slider, as you say, you lose that momentum and then you're really vulnerable to attack from behind. And this isn't one of the easier cars to drive on this service. It's kind of lower powered compared to some of the higher end stuff, but it's got its own series of challenges. I've always found it kind of difficult to get this car to turn, and then on exit you can really buzz the tires off it, so you gotta watch out for that. You're gonna see a lot of drivers running right down by those curbs, as you said, but pretty high risk, high reward down there as well. If you catch them, it can really unsettle the car.
Riding on board here with one of our young drivers. This is Jaden Walbridge, the Lucas Oil entry on the nose of that race car. Jaden, a young man out of Oregon who runs in the MAV TV 5150 Energy Drink Junior Late Model Series that airs 9 races every year on MAV TV. As you see Jaden's car from the outside. Now it's a series at Kenny Shepard Madera Speedway. You know, the junior late models, while we have a chance here for those who are not really familiar, I'm going to go over the revolution of the junior late models and open late model racing that kind of took over the West Coast and has started to spread here across the country over the last couple years. Kenny Shepard a couple years ago at Madera Speedway, 2015, said, I have an idea for a way to get all these race cars, all these late models that are sitting around, they're outdated, you know, they're perimeter super lates, they're old crate late models. I have an idea to get them all on the same track and make them competitive. And so the Open Late Model Series was kind of revolutionized and became a national televised event on MAV TV. And in the process, he said, why don't we start a series for the younger drivers to train them to move up? That way you don't get a 15 or 16-year-old who's going from a Bandolero or a Legend car straight into a big nationally televised series with, you know, 40-year-old, 50-year-old drivers who've been doing this for 30 years. And so came up with the idea of taking the same cars. This is the beauty of this series in real life. Take the same race cars that they run in the Open Late Model Series, put a restrictor plate on them to slow them down a little bit, and that's it. And so you actually have some of these young drivers now who have come up through the ranks and competed, and when they get to be 15, 16 years old, if they're approved to run in the pro late model class, as they call it, then they'll run the same car in 2 main events on the same night. So they'll run the junior late model first, come in, take the restrictor plate off the carburetor, put the carb back on, and back out they go and line up for the pro late model race. And I've seen a lot of young drivers have a lot of success with that. Jesse Love, who's a Formula 1 driver who has moved up into the NASCAR K&N Series now for Bill McAnally Racing, or it's now the ARCA West Series, ARCA Menards West Series, but a lot of fans still notice the NASCAR K&N Series. And you've got Joey East, who was a phenomenal year last year in the junior late models and was the champion at Madera Speedway, who made that jump up as well. Young Dylan Zampa, who jumped up and actually won the season opener in the pro late model class last year, had done something similar as well out at Madera. And now you've seen this kind of spread across the country. You've got all sorts of tracks running. They call either limited late models, junior late models for a youth class at their division. And you see some of the traveling series have started to take on a class like this as well. And it's really a great opportunity for these young drivers to get behind the wheel, learn the ropes, and eventually be able to jump up and compete in the same cars. They're totally comfortable. Parents aren't having to buy 2 or 3 different race cars, and it has really just taken off. At Madera Speedway, we get 20 plus of these young junior late model drivers and air the races on MAV TV, and you can find a lot of the races on YouTube as well. I've been fortunate enough to be part of those broadcasts as the pit reporter for the last couple of seasons, and it's really something to watch these young drivers. Sometimes they put on a better show than the adults in the Pro Series, which probably won't surprise that many of you out there. Qualifying underway. As you look at the 17, I'm just going to presume, based on knowing her car in real life, that's Kersey Young, and it is indeed. You'll notice there are some of the drivers who are using their parents' accounts. So Kersey's father, Brad, is named here. We'll do our best to kind of keep you updated on certain drivers who are using accounts maybe of their family members here throughout the night. I see Kersey's even got some of her real-life sponsors. Kersey from Bakersfield, California, where she grew up racing in mini dwarfs and was phenomenal, and jumped up into bandoleros and was phenomenal, and jumped up into a junior late model, and her family have really been trying to get that program going. Had a couple strong runs last season, her first real full year in a junior late model out at Madera Speedway. Austin Edwards is currently on top of the board with a 1467, and we talked about that young man. You see right there, Quick Pause. Love this story about Austin. Lucas Oil on the side of that car as well. Quick Pause is a nonprofit down in the Riverside, San Bernardino County areas where Austin is from. Grew up racing at Orange Show Speedway and ended up at Madera, has raced all over. And Austin does a lot for that charity in his racing career to kind of help out animal rescues. As get Doyle out on the track right now. Here's Robbie Keneally. Robbie, another racing family, has a younger brother and younger sister who also race in the Mini Cup divisions. And that's a family operation as well. And here's Elvis Rankin, who we talked about in the 54 Toyota entry. Elvis comes to us from New Mexico and has been out to Madera Speedway as well before, and certainly a talented young man who is starting to learn the ropes. And Jay Juleson, now Jay is one of the heavy favorites for this race here. Austin Edwards and Jay Juleson, probably the two most experienced iRacers to be running here in this event. Jay's a great story. Jay actually was an iRacer who told his dad, said, I want to go stock car racing. So they got a hold of Matt Erickson at Madera Speedway and Kenny Shepard and started running for Matt Erickson's team. Over the off-season, went and got their own car, teamed up with the Meade family and Alexander Meade, whose sister Lily is running the junior late models for a long time. And Jay and Alexander are going to go chase a championship this year as well once we get racing. Cassidy Hines right now, one of several young ladies that are in this event. This is another thing I love about the junior late models. A lot of young ladies getting involved in driving these cars as well. Boy, somebody tell Travis Barnes that's not the route you want to take there, Christian.
Yeah, that's actually a good point in terms of qualifying. With so many cars here tonight, and it's only 2 laps, you've really got to get this done. And you've got 100 laps in the race, but it's not a long time to get through the field, and especially on a track like this, it's just not really going to be possible to do that. So really high-pressure qualifying for these guys. And Austin Edwards with a 673, really getting it done.
Again, the setups here tonight are a fixed setup that was created by Racecraft One, and Racecraft One has been offering some training to these drivers here throughout the last week, and will do so throughout this 6-race series. every Thursday here, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern for these series. And again, we mentioned 6 races. Next week we go to Five Flags Speedway, then Myrtle Beach. But that'll be fun. If you've never driven Myrtle Beach on iRacing and you have iRacing, go buy it if you don't own it, and then go turn some laps. And you're going to be like, whoa, wow. And then we go to Irwindale, South Boston, which everybody on iRacing is familiar with. And I'm kind of excited. The finale for this series, Christian, at Gateway. A limited late model at Gateway is going to be real interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously a lot bigger track than people are used to with these kind of cars, and kind of one of my favorites, actually. I know people aren't really that big on running these kind of cars on the bigger tracks, but I really enjoy them. And another track which I think will provide some really great racing is Irwindale as well. I think that'll be one of the best rounds of this series.
Yeah, Irwindale, where I cut my chops in short track racing down there at Irwindale Speedway, and we'll head to Irwindale in round number 4. Of course, round 2 at Five Flags, home of the Snowball Derby and the Snowflake 100, which could certainly also put on some great racing here. And it looks like most of the cars are done qualifying. 32 cars have taken a time here. There's a lot more than that in the session, and so we're trying to kind of sort that out. That does mean, I think, once we go green here, that you're going to see some names pop up on the back end of timing and scoring that are drivers that are maybe not entered in this race. Some of the names are going to kind of pop out. You're going to think to yourself, what is Robbie Unser doing here? Yes, indeed, Robbie Unser is too old for this series. I can confirm that. Logan Seavey was hanging out in the server here. I don't know if Logan's been kind of granted an exemption to this or what. I guess we'll find out here. Logan Seavey is of course, USAC National Midget Champion. Very, very good in the open wheel dirt cars. And that would be a lot of fun if he decided to jump in here and mix it up. But it doesn't really follow by the rules of the series. 10 to 16 late model drivers. And we are getting ready to grid and head through our pace laps. And with that, we'll take you to the starting lineup here. I'm going to talk about our Fast Qualifier Award winner here. And the Fast Qualifier Award presented by Victory Custom Trailers to your pole sitter. There it is, the Quick Pause Lucas Oil car of Austin Edwards, a 1467. Yowzers, that young man flying in qualifying. And Austin Edwards will line up on the front row next to fellow Madera Speedway foe in Bradley Erickson. In fact, Madera Speedway well represented here with the top 5 qualifying spots. So it's Edwards and Erickson on row 1, Jaden Walbridge and Jay Juleson row 2, Robbie Keneally and Joe Valento row 3, Landon Lewis and Cameron Doyle row 4, William Cox III and Seth Wise in row 5.
Then moving on to row 6, we've got Cade McClenny alongside Joey Stearns, and then on row 7 we've got Elvis Rankin. We talked a bit about him before the start of the session. He's standing back in 13th alongside Grant Thompson. Then the next row back in 15th and 16th, we've got Nick Loden and Holly Clark, followed up by Jackie Bowman and Donald Putman in 17th and 18th, and Cade Brown with Katie Hedinger in 19th and 20th.
Moving on back to row number 11 here, and it's Josh Cossack out of North Carolina, and that's Calvin Hagee, whose father Randy at the account there, Barrett Pulliams and Travis Barnes, Dominic Carter, Cassidy Hines, Brody Moore, and Kersey Young with Dad Brad's account there, and then Bryson Ruff and Amber Sokol.
And then bringing up the back of the field, we've got Casey Cash in 31st with Braden Connor in 32nd. And they are the last of our drivers to make a time. Everybody behind them, we will pick up with them as we get them on the scoring.
We'll check once again to see who is actually involved here versus the drivers who may not actually be starting. Again, by the way, the Amber Sokol account, I'm going to presume is Colby Sokol. There's a pair of Sokols out of Colorado who are participating here, and I'm pretty sure that's Colby who's starting back there as the first pace lap comes to an end. Again, we're going 100 laps, no tires, no fuel, no fast repairs. You can pit if you have damage. $250 to the winner and bragging rights that you won the first Mobile One Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by Madera Speedway event. must go on the green. That is all starts and restarts as Austin Edwards rolls them through turns 3 and 4 along with Bradley Erickson. Green flag is out and we are underway at the Bullring for 100 laps of junior late model racing. And we got a wreck already, and it started back there about 7th place. They are piling up in turns 3 and 4. Caution is out, and this one is going to take out a bunch of quality race cars.
Yeah, just looking at that, it looked like Landon Lewis was having some issues with his connection right there, and kind of got crossed up going into 3.
Going to have to go back here and take a look. There's going to end up being a lot of cars, I think, in this here. Boy, it almost seemed like there was maybe a server hiccup or something. There's a bunch of cars that just kind of disappeared in turns 3 and 4. I see somebody upside down. Let's figure out who that is here. The upside down car was actually Landon Lewis. And trying to get an idea of who else might be involved here. Joey Stearns looks like he might have got a piece of that. Lewis ends up upside down. You don't believe it or not, as I look at this, it's hard to watch because of the connection kind of bouncing around. But I actually think a lot of drivers got away with that there. And that's surprising. Usually you get a car turned around inside the top 10 at the Bullring. It's going to be super ugly. Landon Lewis's connection was so poor that we're struggling to even come up with a replay for him. But here's Stearns. Let's keep an eye on this. This is the first lap here. Keep an eye on Stearns. It's that blue and white Chevy on the outside. Coming around into turns 3 and 4, up on the outside. There you see that car kind of blink out. Boy, I think that's Seth Weiss, I think, bouncing around. Lewis is upside down. Stearns is on the brakes. I got no idea who is going to end up with damage from that and who's not, to be quite frank with you. That was just a really unfortunate moment there with the connection issue for Landon Lewis. Christian, you're a professional, part-time professional, full-time professional iRacer. How do you want to describe yourself on that end? I'll leave that up to you.
We'll leave that pretty open-ended, I think. That's, with some kind of professional, I guess, but professional in name more than anything else. But
you've been around situations like that before, connection problems. There's just nothing you can do, but how frustrating is that?
Yeah, that's kind of frustrating for everybody involved right there. It's obviously frustrating for the 39. He obviously doesn't want to have that problem, and because of that, really, nobody can... If you can't see where the car is, you can't do anything about it, kind of thing. You just have to drive it as you would, as though he's not there. Because, I mean, if you can't see him, you can't see him, you know? But unfortunately, on his end, obviously, he still feels the impact of the car and got flipped upside down there. So it's pretty unfortunate, but hopefully he can at least get back out there and maybe get that problem nailed down a bit more for next week and not have that same issue again.
Lights are out on the pace car. It's Austin Edwards who will take over control of the field here with Bradley Erickson on the front row again. Double file restarts. I mentioned Christian real quick here as the professional, semi-professional race car driver. Christian drives the number 37 car for JTG Dougherty Racing in the eNASCAR series, the Coca-Cola series on iRacing, so you can catch him in that series as well. As the green flag is back out, and Austin Edwards jumps right out to the lead. Single file the first two, and then side by side with Walbridge and Juleson up off of turn 2. And another caution just like that. I see Cassidy Hines with some front end damage. Another car spun up high. Back here, Hines. Oh boy, there's going to be a lot in this one. Dominic Carter, Jake Bowman, Bryson Ruff, Holly Clark, all involved in this one with a lot of damage. And this is 2 wrecks at once. I'm going to take a look here first at going to Dominic Carter. But Dominic's going to end up late to this party with nowhere to go. 24 goes around, and that's Hedinger. It looked like Barnes might have been the culprit there in turning Hedinger, but in front of them, you already had Holly Clark and Jake Bowman were together. Taking on board with Hedinger here. Oh, that last hit there to the left front is going to be really damaging for the night as we come back live here and take a look at pit road. Jake Bowman's on pit road. Landon Lewis down there as well. In fact, there's only 2 cars that are actually down on pit road. What's up, Bowman? Left side come up to take tires. Now, I did read in the rule book that if you do take tires, you'll be given an end of the longest line penalty. Now, I'm not going to say that that's a strategy that I would employ often, but I'm definitely going to tell you that if you're stuck at the back, fresh tires in an EOL might not be the worst thing in the world. Christian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Obviously, if you've been involved in an incident, and especially if you've been looped around, you're effectively in last anyway. I would take that EOL penalty. I think they might want to revisit that rule, especially if you consider, say, around about the halfway point of the race, you're going to take that EOL penalty. 50-lap fresher tires for the second half. Yeah, I'd take my chances with that.
Yeah, for sure, yeah, for sure. It just depends on track position and attrition, obviously, at that point as well. So continue to pace here, working lap 11 of 100. Remember, we have a 45-minute time limit in this race, so that'll be interesting to keep an eye on here as well.
Yeah, it was one of the things I was hoping we weren't going to run into, but if we keep having yellows, we might. It just looks like on the restarts, everybody's really keen to get down to the bottom lane, not get stuck on that top side, but you kind of can't force your way in. You just got to roll with it if you are stuck on the top end. There is a rule that states that you can't change lanes before you get to the flag stand, so that does keep everybody doubled up all the way down into turn 1.
And we are being told we have to keep an eye on this. The in-race timer actually has 1 hour, even though the rule book says 45 minutes. That might have been a last-second change. We'll work to see if we can get some clarification on that. Green flag back out. Austin Edwards again jumps right out in front. Bradley Erickson slides right on down into second and got a little bumper there from Jaden Walbridge. They come up off of turn 2.
Yeah, Walbridge really not wanting to let him in there, and nearly goes for him again going into 3 right there, but Bradley Erickson able to hold on to that second spot.
Jay Juleson taking advantage inside of Jaden Walbridge now, trying to work his way to the front. And Austin Edwards has said, see you later out in front. Caution for the 3rd time here at the Bullring. It's going to be over in turns 1 and 2. And I see Nascimento, Brody Moore, Sokol involved in this one as well. So Colby Sokol around. And the 3rd caution of the night comes out here on lap number 15. Taking a look at our GSRC replay of the 3rd caution of the night. This again is going to happen in turns 1 and 2. And Sokol had a connection issue there, bouncing in and out, but that might have been the cause of this problem. I've seen a lot of cars blink in and out. Boy, there you see more cars involved. There's Sokol, the 37 up in the wall. The 28 there is Nascimento. 78 car was Moore, who was around as well. So a lot of cars caught up in that one. Brody Moore out of Highlands Ranch, Colorado, 13 years old. Nascimento's listed as Eric, but I'm presuming that's Ethan Nascimento, who's the younger of the brothers there. And the Nascimento Motorsports team, again, another California team that has run at Madera Speedway and all over the place and has had a lot of success in late models. That been victorious with Eric Holmes behind the wheel of their race cars on multiple occasions, and the $10,000 to win season finale for the Pro Late Model Series at Madera Speedway on MAV TV. And now Eric and Ethan Nascimento coming up through the ranks, jumping behind the wheel of the race cars as well. Pacing now on lap 18, and the lights are still on the pace car here. Why don't we run through the top 10 while we have a chance here. It's Austin Edwards leading Bradley Erickson, Jay Juleson in 3rd, followed by Jaden Walbridge and Robbie Keneally in 5th. Joe Valento, William Cox III, Cameron Doyle, Cabe McClenny, and Elvis Rankin. That's your top 10 right now. Biggest mover in this race so far is Josh Kosick, who's up 7 spots. Well, actually, Braden Connor way down there is up 11, but he also started at the back of the pack. Josh Kosick has moved up 7 spots from 21st to 14th. And that's the biggest mover I'm going to at least keep my eye on right now. We do have a Hard Charger Award presented by BEA Energy Drink to hand out at the end of the race. That'll go to the driver who officially gains the most spots. Also have a Halfway Challenge Award presented by Raceface Telmed that goes to the driver leading at halfway, and the Fast Race Lap Award presented by homesmiles.com. That driver right now, I do believe, is Mr. Austin Edwards, although he's been the leader, so Not hard to do. Speaking of Austin Edwards, he's back on the loud pedal as the green flag comes out, and Edwards comes out on Erickson as they head off into turn 1. And Juleson again will go to work on the inside of Jaden Walbridge and try to get clear. I'd really be interested to see what Jaden Juleson can do if he can get clear of Walbridge and actually have a run at Erickson. That would be the fun battle to watch here. Messaging with Jay earlier today. Jay and Austin were going back and forth on Facebook. Jay Juleson, Christian, I don't know how many practice laps that you do for your Pro Series races there in the Coca-Cola Series, but Jay Juleson had done 2,000 laps here in the last 24 hours.
Yeah, and it's definitely a thing where you want to have a lot of practice for a race like this, as we see another yellow coming out.
4th caution of the race, and Cassidy Hines is around in turns 3 and 4 down on the apron as the leaders come scooting on by. And that was a case of Cassidy getting a little bit of help from Kersey Young. I think Cassidy was already struggling. The front end of that race car pretty beat up. And they went into turn 3, and Kersey, I'm not sure, had much damage. Got right into the back of Cassidy, and around she went. Jake Bowman also going to end up with a little bit of damage in that one as we looked on board there with the 17 car. Caution number 4. Unfortunate to see a caution come out for a wreck at the back of the pack. Those were the last 3 cars that were running on track. Officially, we had 33 cars take the green flag here in this event today. Landon Lewis is still trying to get things going, I think, but down there 22 laps down. Bryson Ruff is 11 laps down. Colby Sokol also several laps down, 6 back. Jake Bowman's lost 3 laps. Brody Moore and Cassidy Hines both a lap down at this point. Kersey Young, just as you look at the spots gained and lost on the left side of your screen there, you see Elvis Rankin up 4 spots. He's your biggest mover in the top 10. Kosick got another spot on that restart. Boy, be interested to keep an eye on Kosick here on the restart. It's a little bit farther back, but it seems like every time we go green again, that car just goes shooting on through the pack. It's Josh Kosick in the 4 car. By the way, if you're following along at home and you're interested in learning more about these drivers, there's a great website that's put together by folks at Raceface Brand Development, JR LateModelEsports.com. So junior abbreviated, LateModelEsports.com. There's a driver bio page. It's great. You connect with the drivers on social media there as well. There's information about a Racecraft 1 and the training schedule, a calendar of events coming up. Great program that was put together here. Really, this came together and Sean Ambrose is directing, so you can probably ping me in my ear if I'm wrong on this, but I want to say maybe 8 days from the time that this was really announced and broadcast plans were put together to here tonight. It's been pretty remarkable how quickly this deal has come together, and to see the quality of the field that we have tonight as the Mustang pace car rolls off and we get ready to go back racing here on lap 27 at the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Austin Edwards through 3 and 4. Green flag is out and we're back away. Juleson got a great restart. Juleson trying to poke the nose in there. Juleson turns him. Around goes the 2nd place car and they managed to save it. We get a caution. Juleson went right into Bradley Erickson. I got no idea how we didn't just wreck the whole field right there. And that's the 5th caution of the race. Boy, Austin Edwards looking in the rearview mirror like, oh, am I glad I'm out front right now. Here's a look again on our GSRC replay at this restart. Keep an eye on the 12 car. Boy, Edwards just shot out of a cannon, and it's like Erickson didn't quite realize they were going green, and Juleson got down there into the corner, right into the back of Erickson. Around they went. Jaden Walbridge, let me get a little bit of damage out of that as well. I'm trying to look and see if race control threw that caution or if iRacing threw it. And I think that was an iRacing thrown caution, which is interesting. Boy, Walbridge there with a pretty big hit on Bradley Erickson. We're going to have to take a look at those 2 cars, see if they got through there all right. And we're also going to have to listen and see if maybe there are any penalties handed down. I'm not sure if race control is handing down penalties for contact or rough driving or anything like that. We'll have to see here. Not heard anything come over the intercom yet.
and just looking at that, it looked like Ericsson was just a little bit slow away, and then with how many yellows we're getting, and everybody's been really, really aggressive on the restarts, and you really do have to be, because you don't want to be stuck on that outside. And obviously we've looked at Josh Cossack, and he's been one of the only people who's been able to make some solid ground, and he had a restart where he was actually on the outside in 14th, able to sneak himself up one position, so he was back on the inside, and going to be restarting 13th again this time by. But yeah, the only guy out there who looks safe right now is Austin Edwards, being the leader and being the control of all this. He's able to get out front and just doesn't get involved in anything that's going on behind him. But it is a short race, and you do have to be aggressive, and fortunately that does mean that sometimes guys get turned around.
I do see some damage on the front end of J.D. Juleson's car. Robbie Keneally has some front end damage. Jaden Walbridge has some front end damage, and Bradley Erickson. So all 4 of those cars there, 2nd through 5th, all appear to have gotten a little bit of damage on the front of their race cars, although as long as it didn't get the wheel, I think they'll be okay here. I've certainly been involved in many races here at the Bullring where the front end and the right side of the car come back looking worse for wear, but still drives just fine. It's the beauty of short track racing.
It's a pretty tough car, this. You got to do a lot to really rough it up to the point where it's lost some significant performance. So obviously those guys with a little bit of damage out there should be still very much on pace.
Lights are off, pace car peels off. Chris Murdoch and Race Control just said, let's work together and keep your incident points down and get going. And here's the green flag. Austin Edwards, another jump on the restart. And look at Keneally's going to get up there right on the inside of Jay Juleson. The battle for second place as they come up off turn 2. Robbie Keneally up into the 2nd position in that blue number 1 car, trying to bring Erickson back down as well. Contact between Walbridge and Juleson there as they get things sorted out. Now we're finally single file, and we've also finally run a green flag lap. Boy, I think it's been about 15 minutes since we did that, as these cars roll around through here, and they're just about single file all the way back to 5th there. That's Walbridge. On the inside of Walbridge is Valento, trying to move up into the top 5, and will do so as they come up off of turn 2 right now, and Valento trying to bring Cox along as well. And Jaden Walbridge right now is like a clothesline on the streets of New York, just hung out to dry.
And this is why everybody's fighting so aggressively to get down to the bottom of the track. Walbridge restarting inside the top 5. He's already slipped back to 6th. He's still stuck on the top. He's got an opportunity here to slip in behind, but you really do not want to be stuck outside on that top lane.
Boy, Jaden Walbridge just plummeting back to 7th place there. And then Seth Weiss back there. You see Cade Brown as well. And that's Cade McClenny making a move on Doyle as they come through turns 3 and 4. And McClenny gets the spot. Doyle trying to shut the door on Brown and does so. And almost gave a little bumper to McClenny as well. And now look at this. We're single file almost all the way around the track for the first time tonight. And Austin Edwards back out in front has already opened up a lead just under a half a second. Take a look off the back bumper here, or out the back window of Austin Edwards to Keneally as they come down that bent back straightaway. And I hear some cars running into each other. Do we have the wreck? No, we don't. I think that's just a bit of an issue there with the coating here at the Bullring Las Vegas Motor Speedway as we remain on board here with Austin Edwards again down the back straightaway. And you notice back straight there with that curve, and it kind of opens up the entry to turn 3. But boy, do things get tight right about there. See that wall just pop out at you off of turn 4.
See Jaden Walbridge is having an issue. He's been sent around in the exit of 2.
Another caution here at the Bullring. And it's Jaden Walbridge, I believe. Boy, this night just went from rough to really bad for Jaden Walbridge here, and it's going to be contact with our high mover so far in Cossack as they went into turn 1. Cossack down there on the bottom, and boy, Walbridge, I don't know if he just didn't realize that Cossack was down there, or maybe the car just started floating, but wasn't really a lot Josh Kosick could do there.
Yeah, that looked like there might have been a little bit of a prediction code error right there as Woolbridge went around really fast.
Yeah, it's like they rubbed doors, and then a second later, the back of that car snapped around. Well, if we can get a look at Jaden Walbridge's car here, he's floating around now all the way back in the 22nd spot. But if we can get a look at the back of that car, it is very beat up. Lucas Oil 07 car for Jaden Walbridge. You see some damage on the front there. Whoa, and that's really ugly when you look back there. Not supposed to look like an SK, I know that.
Yeah, a lot of left rear damage there. Obviously, vast majority of that came from that initial contact, but it just looked all the way since that restart that Jaden Woolbridge just wasn't quite comfortable with his car, and he did get himself back in the bottom lane, but then he had a little bit of a moment and got shuffled back onto the top side again, and then unfortunately got sent around. So really not a 10-lap run that he would have wanted right there.
Cassidy Hines rewarded with the lucky dog in the 23rd spot, back onto the lead lap. Dominic Carter is 1 lap down as well, and so Dominic would be the lucky dog next time. And we're coming up here on halfway. Actually, we have halfway at the restart here, so we might as well give out the halfway award and halfway challenge, brought to you by Raceface Telmed. Medical and lifestyle benefits goes to the number 18 car of Austin Edwards here, who has led every lap of this race so far. Austin Edwards leading with Robbie Keneally on the outside. Green flag back in the air here at the Bullring. And the battle for second heats up right away with Erickson trying to get back to that P2 position. Juleson still in this one as well in the 12th car. And look at Joe Valento starting to poke the nose in there. Keneally comes off the corner awfully wide, has to give up the 3rd spot as well here as they go through turns 1 and 2. Trying to hang on, but Juleson's just going to have the preferred line, Christian.
And once again, we see drivers just stuck outside on that top side, not able to get down to the bottom. A lot rougher action going on in the mid-pack than we've seen at the front. There's some 3 wide going on in the back coming out of turn 4 there, but everybody managed to gather it up and get it back going.
Farther back into the pack here. And look at the stack up here, the 48. Rankin and Hedgie and Loden there as well. Loden the 43 on the inside. Hedgie in that red and white car up on the outside there. Looks just like Calvin's junior late model. At Walbridge there as well, another caution. Caution is out, and this might be Kosick. It is. Boy, Kosick with a lot of damage to the back of that race car. Josh Kosick, who had been marching through the field, gets into trouble. Oh, and it starts in turns 3 and 4 all by himself, and he chased that thing. This should be fun. Christian, tell me what you see here on the onboard.
Yeah, I mean, he's been really aggressive, moving his way through the field quite nicely, and they're coming through 3 and 4. It looks like he got on the curb a little bit, and then a huge snap on exit. Did gather it up himself, but just unfortunately gets collected by cars behind him, moving at a much faster pace.
Well, that was a heck of a driving job up until the part where he got hit from behind. Looked like a sprint car driver chasing that thing down the front straightaway, and it was Seth Wise, the championship runner-up at Madera Speedway a year ago, who had nowhere to go and just hammered the back of Kosick. And then Kosick got the inside wall pretty bad as well.
Kosick all the way back to 19th now. He started in 21st and was well up inside the top 10, so now he's got it all to do again with 45 laps to go.
But Seth Weiss's car has a ton of damage on the left front of that race car. That's going to render that car pretty difficult to drive. In fact, I'm watching Seth now as he drives around in the pace laps in the 87 car, and he's literally having to turn the steering wheel to the right to make it go straight. Seth bringing his car to pit road right there. Kosick coming off pit road. Working lap 56 here under caution. This race has been the Austin Edwards show so far.
Had control of all the restarts, been able to keep himself out ahead of everything that's been going on behind him. There's been a huge fight going on for that second spot. It's kind of been revolving between Ericsson and Keneally, especially on the restarts. The outside car in the front lane never really seems to get away particularly good. It's always stuck on that top side through 1 and 2. Kind of flips around second and third every restart, really.
They are starting to remove some drivers from the server as well for being up over the incident point limit. They just decided to do that manually. They kind of gave everybody a little bit of leeway. And some of these drivers now have been disqualified for incident point. So Casey Cash, Dominic Carter, both out of this race because of incident points. As the pace car peels off, and Austin Edwards coming to lap 59 will restart as Bradley Erickson back on the right side of that number 18 car. Green flag in the air, and Erickson got a much better restart. They're going to go into turn 1 side by side for the first time tonight. Can the 22 make the outside line work? Battle for the lead as they rub doors. Caution, a huge wreck. Huge wreck in turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looked like Cameron Doyle really got unseated going into 1. I think someone got into the back of him, and he was chasing it all the way through 1 and 2. Nearly got it caught back up, but just wasn't able to, and ended up going around at the exit of 2.
Boy, Doyle, the 28 car there as well. Nascimento. Boy, Doyle really had to go chasing there. And then the 43 car, you talk about a ride. Nick Loden. Well, let's take a look on board with Loden. Well, he didn't miss that by much.
Yeah, you can see the 71 right in front of him and just spins out of his way as he gets to it.
Looking at Loden's car there, seems scrubbing the tires, the flames on the front end of that race car. Longacre Racing Products sponsor on Loden's car. Lap 62 of 100 here. We're doing fine on time. Even at 45 minutes, we'd still be good as far as the time frame goes here, but definitely good with server time extended to an hour. Let's run down through the top 10 again while we have a moment under caution here at the Bullring, with Austin Edwards leading Bradley Erickson, Robbie Keneally, Jay Julesen, William Cox the third up to the 5th spot there, Joe Valento. And then it is Cabe McClenny, Donald Putman, Barrett Polomis, and then Eric Nascimento. Again, my belief is that's Ethan Nascimento, but we'll have to confirm after the race there. As you see the 28 car with Fury chassis and the yellow camo scheme there. That's a unique paint job, Christian.
Yeah, and he's actually our biggest mover right now, if you can believe it. Started this race in 41st, is up inside the top 10 right now in 10th spot. Obviously got a little bit of rear damage on that car, but working well for him. He's avoiding most of the incidents that are going on ahead of him and just picking up spots.
Well, the lights are out here on the pace car, and we're going to try something here. A little homage to the NASCAR on Fox boys here. They have a Crank It Up. We're going to give you our GSRC version as Austin Edwards and Bradley Erickson will bring them back around, and the green flag is back in the air as we come to lap 66. How about those camera shots from Dougie Beard here and Sean Ambrose tournament ops for us as Austin Edwards out in front of Robbie Keneally. And Keneally in that one car is not going away, Christian. In fact, Keneally and Erickson are both there as well as a good old racer.
Yeah, and this is what I was hoping to see, that we get a little bit of a green flag run, because I felt like Keneally might have had something for Edwards, and it looks like it might be on. He's got Erickson pushing him hard right now, but if they can keep it clean, it might be an opportunity for Keneally to make something happen on Edwards.
We're down to 18 cars that I can tell that are running, by the way, here. Remember, we started 33. And we got a battle for second. Erickson got him run inside of Keneally as they come up off of turn 4 and clears them. New P2, Bradley Erickson.
Yeah, nice clean pass right there by Erickson. But like Keneally realized that he got the position on him, and better to just let him go rather than get stuck on that top side, get back in third place. And also, if there is another yellow and he'll get that restart from third, it's probably a better place to be than that second on the outside.
Well, the result of that pass is that Austin Edwards has opened up his lead here to over a half a second out in front of Erickson and Keneally. Bradley Erickson, by the way, has jumped Austin Edwards for the fastest lap of this race. He ran a 14:86. So Erickson has plenty of speed, but right now it's Edwards kind of opening up that lead. Another 500th of a second there. They slide back and look at Jay Juleson in 5th place there. Juleson right behind William Cox into 3 cars who go on board with the iRacing Chevrolet and the longtime iRacer here, Jay Juleson.
Juleson doing a solid job here, running inside the top 5. Started 4th, fell back a little bit at the beginning, but has managed to get himself back into the top 5 and looking to have a good point stay here.
Brought back and looked at positions 8th, 9th, and 10th, and Elvis ranking in the 54. How about Jaden Walbridge? Last time we checked in on Jaden Walbridge, he was facing the wrong direction and backed it into the wall, and he's worked his way back up to the 9th spot, that young driver from Oregon. Oh, Christian, how about that wheel?
We saw him having a couple of issues earlier on, which contributed to him falling back in the first place. Looks like he's still struggling with that car just a little bit, but yeah, great recovery by him to get himself back inside the top 10. To be 9th after going all the way to the back, it's been a rough ride to get back to the front for him, but he's making it happen and he's moving.
I don't need to know, Christian, as big as the championship prizes in this series, every position counts, and you work your way back up and solidify a solid top 10 on a night that otherwise looked like a lost cause. That would go a long way. Austin Edwards might have just clipped the wall of the leader there as they looked at P2 with Erickson and Keneally, and I thought I saw Edwards get a pretty big chunk of the wall off of turn 2. Let's see how this race car here, we can look at the last lap last time around and see. He was certainly close if he didn't get it. It's our GSRC replay. On board with Austin Edwards, the 18 car, the young man out of Southern California. Oh boy! I think he missed it by the skin of his teeth. Boy.
About as close as you can get right there with that hit, and I think he might have just scared himself a little bit there. Lost a fraction of time to second and third, but still got himself a nice 0.6 second buffer.
Checking back on 5th place here. And that's actually 6th with the 0.5 on McClenny. And Polamis at the 79 all over that black and yellow car. Cave McClenny, brother Cale, both racers out at Madera Speedway in the junior late model division. In fact, their father, JR, was a spotter of mine for some time and modifieds out at Bakersfield. Won a race together, so known the McClenny boys for quite some time. More drivers who came up through the ranks and showed that they could drive through the mini dwarfs and bandolero divisions, running great late models now as well. Look at the brake rotors light up on the front of these cars as we finally get a big long green flag run here. 13 laps to go now in this race, Christian.
Yeah, and Palmas has done a really good job here. He's hustling the back of McClenny right here, and obviously we want to get this spot if he can, but at the same time, he's got to keep in mind, as we were saying, his points, and he's had a great recovery. He's started in 23rd, he's up in 7th, one of the biggest movers all night. And going forwards, this driver I'm going to be looking for in round 2. If he can just qualify a little bit better, start closer to the top 10, might be able to contend up inside that top 5. It does look like everybody kind of just behind McClenny starting to stack up just a little bit with 10 to go here. As we see Wallbridge get really sideways out of 2. And now get sent around into 3.
And another caution. And this is going to set up a shootout at the end. Boy, all that work for Jaden Wallbridge to get back up through the pack. And boy, that contact there with the 54. Elvis Rankin, and then, boy, big contact from behind. That was Valento into 30, I believe.
Yeah, it looked like everybody was stacking up just a little bit behind that 05, and then he had a big run on Rankin and just kind of got into him a little bit in the 1 and 2 end of the track and slowed him up, and when he got down to 3, Valento kind of just sent him around.
Eight laps to go, and we're going to have ourselves a good old-fashioned shootout at the end of this one. Austin Edwards has led every lap so far. Bradley Erickson and Robbie Keneally right there. Jay Juleson. In fact, those 4 cars have all been in the top 5 pretty much every lap of this race. William Cox III, who's actually one of the unknown drivers in this series. Late addition here, up there in the 5th spot. Then it's Gabe McClenny, Barrett Polmus, Elvis Rankin, Joe Valento, and Josh Kosick. Speaking of drivers who ran into problems that worked their way back up, Kosick back up into the 10th spot.
Yeah, he just can't stay at the back. He started at the back, fought his way forward, and then obviously had that big moment off of 4, and then he got sent around on the front stretch. And yet he's somehow back here in the top 10 with 7 to go.
I believe the lights will go out this time around, and that means we should have a restart with 4 laps to go.
We do have to keep in mind that we do have the possibility of having those 2 green-white checkers as well, so I think we're going to see a lot of aggression on this initial start. Hopefully it stays clean, but if it doesn't, we'll definitely have a chance to go again.
So here we go. Let's see if Bradley Erickson can be better on the restart here. The one time that he got a good jump, is able to stay side by side with Edwards as they come through turns 3 and 4. Green flag is out, and Erickson got a decent start. They're at least going to keep a door on him as they go into turns 1 and 2. Erickson trying to roll the top side. Edwards is too powerful, and we got another car spinning off of turn 2. No caution so far. We'll stay with the leaders. Keneally slides up into second.
Erickson just stuck on that top side now, really fought hard to get in on the bottom, wasn't able to do it. Now going to get passed by William Cox number 3.
Erickson able to slide back down there. In front of Polmus, who's up 17 spot. Austin Edwards out of turn number 4. Yellow flag is out. The yellow is out, and I believe it came out before they got to the start-finish line. They did. Boy, Austin Edwards was inches, and I mean inches, from having this race locked up, and instead we'll get our first green-white checkered.
think he's still in a strong position, though. Obviously, having that control on the restart and that bottom lane makes him very, very difficult to pull a move on. We've seen a couple of drivers try it, and obviously had a couple of times where people have been close. Like Ericsson's been really, really good on that top side on the restart, but just not able to make anything happen. Maybe if he can stick on his right rear quarter coming out of 2, might be able to make something work, but the bottom line is just so dominant right now.
Tell you what would really be helpful here for Robbie Keneally now, starting on the outside of Austin Edwards, is if he got a good restart and Bradley Erickson in third got down in there and laid a bumper.
It all comes down to if that third place car can make a good restart and be close enough to do that. If not in turn 1, into turn 3 perhaps. Right now we've got 10 cars on the lead lap. We've slowly been losing them as we've had more and more incidents throughout this race, but looks like we've still got 16 drivers actually still running in the race. Fortunately, only 10 of them on the lead lap right now, though.
This will be our first attempt at a green-white checkered, and that is iRacing controlled. We have 10 cars on the lead lap of this one, and the lights go out on the pace car. Austin Edwards, Robbie Keneally, Bradley Erickson, William Cox III, Barrett Polomus, Elvis Rankin. Jay Juleson slid all the way back to 7th on that last run. Joe Valento, Cabe McClenny, Katie Hedinger, that's your top 10. Pace car peels off. And here we go. Through 3 and 4, Keneally laying back a little. Off the corner, green flag. Keneally had to check up. I think he got too big of a jump. Erickson's going to take advantage and slide into second. Down on the inside, Austin Edwards is clear as they come up down the back straightaway and head towards turn 3 for the penultimate time.
Keneally now stuck on that top side, made a really, really poor restart. Looks like he's going to slip back to 4th.
White flag is out, and the number 18 car of Austin Edwards, they call him the first place ace, and tonight he was simply perfect. Austin Edwards wins the inaugural Mobile One Junior Late Model eSports Series race presented by Madera Speedway. Bradley Erickson second, Barrett Polomus third, Robbie Keneally and Jay Juleson. That's how they come home in your top 5. What a night for Austin Edwards, who qualified on the pole and never put a wheel wrong this entire race. Don't tear her up now, Austin, but you can celebrate. We'll be back with Victory Lane interviews here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Welcome back to the Bullring at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and the Mobile One Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by Madera Speedway. I'm Jason Galvin alongside Christian Challoner, and what a great race we had here in the debut for this series as we take a look here at some of the award winners from this race tonight, and then we'll run you through the final standings, hopefully talk to some winners. The Fast Race Lap Award, presented by Homesmiles.com, goes to the driver who nearly brought it home, just couldn't quite get to Austin Edwards, and that's the second place finisher of Bradley Erickson, and that was a lap of 14.868. That's mighty impressive. That's 1486 in the race. That would have qualified him inside of the top 10. That's ultra impressive lap there by Bradley Erickson, that young man in the double 222 card for LNS on the back of that car. Build it, he says. Well, he built the fastest lap of the race here tonight. And our Hard Charger Award also comes home on the podium. And boy, you talk about running through the field and coming out of nowhere, but Barrett Polomus up 20 spots from 23rd to finish in the 3rd position. And for that, the Texas driver wins the Hard Charger Award, brought to you by BEA Energy. Barrett Polomus, 20 spots here on the Bullring. That is incredibly difficult to do, and he brings it home in 3rd place. Let's take a look at our finishing order here tonight. The final results. And it's Austin Edwards winning by nearly half a second over Bradley Erickson. Barrett Polomus, the top 3. Robbie Keneally, boy, hung around up there. So did Jay Juleson. They just like Erickson, nobody could ever really get to Edwards. That's your top 5. Elvis Rankin, William Cox the 3rd. Cave McClenny, Joe Valento, Katie Hedinger. That's the top 10. Those are the 10 cars that finished this race.
Moving on to the first of our non-finishes, we had Seth Wise in 11th, Randy Hage alongside him in 12th. Then we had Joey Stearns in 13th with Josh Cossack, one of our biggest movers of the night, but unfortunately not able to make the end of the race and finish in 14th. Behind him we had Eric Nascimento, another big mover, in 15th with Jaden Walbridge. Had a lot of incidents tonight, unfortunately comes home 16th and 11 laps down. And we had Donald Putman and Nick Loden, followed by Cameron Doyle and Grant Thompson to round out the top 20.
21st on back here at the Bullring, and it starts with Cade Brown, Cassidy Hines, Travis Barnes, Dominic Carter, Rose Moore, Braden Connor, Holly Clark, Casey Cash, Kersey Young, and Jake Bowman.
And then the last of our drivers to start the race, we had Amber Sokol in 31st with Bryson Ruff 32nd. Then Landon Lewis, our first yellow of the race, fortunately comes home 33rd.
Poor Landon. Landon's race ended all the way in turn 3. All right, let's talk to a driver whose race didn't end until he crossed the finish line and was, frankly, fairly dominant in doing it tonight. Your winner, your pole sitter, he led every lap, the Quick Pause 18 car, Austin Edwards. Austin, congratulations, the first place ace. You sure earned that nickname here tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. That was a absolutely awesome race. I know we had a lot of incidents in the first half of that race, but what this race came down to, honestly, for me, was just getting good restarts, going up front, and just saving the tires as best as I could. I could see them battling hard behind me, and even a pretty good incident at one point. So it was a lot of fun. It was just learning to conserve my right front tire, pull away, and I think I just led the whole race. I don't think I've ever done that. It's a good day.
You've done it now, I could tell you that, and it was fairly impressive to watch. There's only one time in that race where I thought like you were ever really challenged, and it came about midway through the race, and I think it was Bradley Erickson who just got a heck of a restart and kind of hung with you there. But what was the key to the restarts? Because I know that they're making you guys go on the green, but for some reason that 18 car was just shot out of a cannon every time.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching Bradley in my mirror for quite a while, along with Robbie Keneally and Jay Juleson, and they were all having a great battle back there. But the restarts were a little bit odd to me at first. The initial start had to be on green, but then from now on, after the initial start, it had to be in the starting box. And frankly, I hadn't studied much on where that was. So with a little help from my spotter, Matt Scott, who did a great job navigating me through this race, we was able to figure out where that was, take off every time, and just go through the gears, get up front, and pull away.
Well, congratulations, Austin. A great run for you here tonight. You are the points leader. You've taken home $250 for winning this race tonight. And most importantly, I want to give you a second here because we're staring at this beautiful car on the track, and it's painted up just like your real car. Tell everybody about Quick Pause. I know it's important.
Well, QuickPause.support is my website, but the Quick Pause in general is the mission I have personally to help shelter animals across the country, which hasn't taken off very far so far, but I've been helping out the Yucaipa Animal Placement Society for about 5 or 6 years now, and they are one of the very rare non-kill shelters, which means when the dogs go there, they stay there till they get a home, and they're treated excellently. They get plenty of yard time. There's so many things that are great about a non-kill shelter that I just want to do as much as I can to help out, and if I can get my racing career to take off, I hope to make more shelters around the country non-kill. And I've been able to raise enough funds, I've been able to spread awareness, and just do a lot of great things and be the voices for these animals.
Well, congratulations, Austin, and certainly a noble cause there as well. Great run tonight. You are the points leader, and off to Five Flags Speedway next week.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks, you guys. Hope the fans enjoyed watching. I'll see you guys next weekend.
It's Austin Edwards, the first place ace, was first place all race here tonight. And Christian, you've caught up with our third place finish.
Barrett, pretty awesome charge right there. Started 23rd, finished 3rd. Must be pretty happy with that result.
Oh my God, man, I can't believe it. I was crying tears of joy right after the race. It definitely wasn't easy. We had some adversity to overcome there. I had some damage from little wreck under yellow. But everyone raced clean from then on, and I got to thank them for that, and got to thank everybody for just being able to put this on. It was an amazing race. I still can't believe it.
Yeah, it looked like it was a little bit rough out there, especially towards the start of the race. A couple of incidents with that many cars out there and on the restarts and everybody being pretty aggressive. Definitely looked like the low line was the place you wanted to be, and did that kind of factor into how you approach the restarts?
Oh, definitely. With I was riding behind Cade McClenny for a long time. I didn't want to pass him just yet, just in case there was a late caution, and I wanted to be on the inside line to gain as big of an advantage as I could, and it paid off in the end.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It was great to see you charge through the field from obviously 23rd up to 3rd, and like you said, picked up a little bit of damage, but next week we got Five Flags, and that's a track where traditionally you can do a little bit more with the outside lane, and hopefully we'll see you start a little bit closer to the front. Maybe you can challenge for a win. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely hope so. I just got to do lots of practice laps like I did with this track. It's definitely not easy. I've ran supers there before, and it's a tricky place. It's going to be tough, but it'll definitely be fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely be looking forward to covering that, and we'll be looking out for you. Obviously, our charger of the race, so picked up a little bit of a prize for that, and picked up a little bit of a prize for 3rd place as well. And before we let you go tonight, is there anybody that you'd like to give shout-outs to?
Well, I gotta give a shout-out to my mom and dad for supporting me through all this, and it hasn't been easy our last couple months as far as racing goes. We've had some incidents. That's all that's all I'm allowed to say, really. But yeah, we're getting back on top of it. Unfortunately, we can't do any real life racing now, but this is the next best thing.
You guys are definitely out there putting on a show for us, and we appreciate you coming and chatting to us. And once again, great run on the 3rd place, and good luck for next week.
Thank you. Thanks for broadcasting.
Alrighty, and that's going to do it for us here tonight in round number 1 of the Mobile One Junior Late Model eSports Series presented by Madera Speedway. Want to thank our sponsors here for this series, and include Mobile One, Madera Speedway, Raceface Brand Development, Racecraft One, Victory Custom Trailers, HomeSmiles.com, BEA Energy Drink, and Raceface Telmed as well. A reminder, our next race is April 9th, Five Flags Speedway, 1 week from today, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, right here, the Global Sim Racing Channel. And big thanks goes out to all these great companies that help us out, including June Lalonde, who provides our music. Find out more info about June's music by heading to that web address on your screen right there. Some great events coming up here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing eSports Network, which we partner with as well. It includes the Lionheart Retro Series race tonight, the Campbell GT event coming up this weekend as well at Watkins Glen, and much, much, much more coming your way. We want to remind you, there you see it next week. Set your calendars. Mobile One Junior Late Model Esports Series. We're on the air at 6:45 Eastern. Green flag coming out at 7. And we want to thank everybody who helped out here tonight, including our director, Sean Ambrose, our camera operator, Dougie Beard, and Christian for joining us up here in the booth. I'm Jason Galvin. Thanks again for hanging out with us. Congratulations to Austin Edwards, your winner in round 1 here at the Bullring. Until next time, remember, the only person who remembers that you came home second is your wife and your dog. Good night.